go through 4 seasons with somebody, because seasonal depression is real. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel, or just welcome if you're new. My name is Eboni Harris, and I am a serial entrepreneur and a relationship therapist based in Houston, Texas. Today is going to be a get ready with me. I am recording some more YouTube videos today, so I needed to throw on a quick face. And I wanted to do similar to what I did in the last get ready with me, which was just kind of rant about different things that have come up with clients, that have come up in different conversations, and just some thoughts and musings that I have. So that's what this is going to be, me putting on makeup while kind of ranting and talking. If you have any questions or comments, or if you want me to address any type of situation or anything that's going on, feel free to drop it in the comments. I have been caught up on some of the social media stuff, the TikToks and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to talk about it in this video, but if that is something you want me to address, i.e. Reesa Teesa, i.e. Love is Blind. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm going to watch it this weekend. i.e. whatever. Leave it in the comments and let me know, because I'm happy to do it, especially with a get ready with me. I think it's a good time to just kind of rant and talk, and it doesn't have to be a formal video. So I've been watching like I said, the Reesa Teesa. I'm currently watching the Jillian chick, who has a very similar story to Reesa Teesa. It seems that, a big part of their stories is the COVID years, which, was a weird time. It was a weird time. I remember it. It was a weird time. And I actually was having a conversation with a friend about how much I feel like Reesa takes accountability, which is great, but it feels like she's taking a lot, way more than she needs to, which, who am I to say that, right? I understand that you have to kind of heal and grow and learn the way you need to do that. But I also think we have to also be able to, I think you have to also be able to acknowledge how someone else contributed to the mess as well. And she did, but it just was a lot of I know I was stupid, I was dumb. And I'm everything ain't a red flag until it's a red flag. I think it's very easy to be oh, you should have known when he played the John Legend song. But if this was a romantic movie that worked out, it would have been oh my God, on a first date and he played this John Legend song. So I don't know. I feel like people are very, hindsight, of course, we can look back at a situation and say, oh, that was a sign. I should have known. Yeah, of course you should. You would have seen it if you look back and are deciphering everything. Now, there were some things that was definitely okay, specifically when she said, I'm going to let this man lie to me. Okay, that's a little different. But I feel like it was a lot of stuff that was girl, if it had worked out, then would that have still been a red flag? No, it would have been, it was so sweet. He knew exactly when he met me that he wanted to be with me. And it's another story that's online right now. But it's an older couple who basically was we met. It was very we had a connection. It felt like there was a connection there. And we ended up I think within a couple weeks of them knowing each other, he flew out and proposed to her. Again, it's not a red flag until it's a red flag. Now, I am a big believer in time. I get, and this is not necessarily for Reesa because she's doing her own work or whatever, but this is just for anybody else. I understand the desire to have a partner. I understand the desire to be married. I understand, especially when we're talking about religion and our belief systems and things like that. I completely understand that. But I just think that until you have some life experience, until you've been married maybe a couple times, until you've I just feel time is the best thing you can have. Time will tell you everything you need to know. Because on Reesa Teesa's story, her whole point was we were together and married and then divorced all within a year and a half. Yeah, basically a year and a half. Because I think they met in March and they were divorced by the following August, right? So all in a year and a half, I was able to discover his lies. I was able to understand who he was, or get to see the full picture of who he was. So again, she left unscathed. She didn't have her child. Unfortunately, she had a miscarriage, and there wasn't they had bought anything together outside of her car that she ended up, I believe, giving up, and she about to get her BMW, so whatever. But she left pretty unscathed. But time can tell you everything. A year, sometimes it takes longer than a year. I understand that there are some master manipulators out here, but a year of that gut feeling of saying, I don't know, this kind of strange. That gut feeling telling you, I know he doing and saying this, but something feels off. After about a year, less than a year, but of consistently feeling that, and of doing like a little bit of research or looking into things or saying like, that don't feel right, let me check that out, right? One, you'll probably learn a lot more about the person just because of the discomfort that you felt and the gut feeling and all of that. But also, again, I understand there are master manipulators out there, but it is kind of hard to keep up with a lie for more than a year. It's kind of hard to keep up with a lie for more than 6 months. It's hard to be consistent when you're playing a character. It's hard to do that. If it's really who you are, then yes, over time you can, right? You assume that when people are really who they are, then yeah, you should be able to be that person forever. Like, yes, people change, people grow, but you should be able to be that person for forever. And so, I don't know. I just feel like, and I say a year, I think it needs to be longer, but I feel like at minimum, even if you're like dating, again, and I know age plays a factor, which I think Risa is like 35 or something, because she was saying he was like 6 or 7 years older than her, and he's like 41, 42. But I understand at a certain age, you feel like my biological clock, and I want to have kids, I want to have family, I want to get married. I get that. But don't let that rush you into making a decision that doesn't feel right. So just let time tell. Go through 4 seasons with somebody, because seasonal depression is real. Or if they work in an industry where, certain seasons they're struggling, right? Like, go through 4 seasons with somebody so you can truly see who they are. Because people are different depending on the season. People are. So go through 4 seasons so you can see who they are. And so you can understand more about how they show up on a consistent basis. Original point was, we're talking about their stories and things like that, is COVID was a weird time. And I don't think we fully recover from COVID yet. I know the world is open. I know we're, hanging out, going out, outside the house, but I'll speak for myself. So I still work from home. I have not switched over, and I don't plan to switch over to back to going into private practice with an office. I can see all my clients virtually. It's worked out for me. Because of that, I ain't socializing the same way I used to. I also don't drink right now. I haven't been drinking in it's been 7 months, 8 months, something like that. I haven't been drinking. And so, hanging out, going out, a lot of times it revolves around drinking, especially in Houston. Houston is food and drinks, food and alcohol. Go to a restaurant. Thank goodness more and more restaurants are doing like the sober or the low alcohol, no alcohol menus. But going out is food and alcohol, food and alcohol, food and alcohol. So I think, but I've noticed just with other people, even when they talk about like, wow, people just aren't as social as they used to. It feels like people are still kind of edging their way back to being outside and connecting with people. We struggle to figure out what that even looks like now because we've gotten so used to our solitude. And so I think I'm saying that just to say, give people grace. Like, it really is, it's hard. People are really struggling when it comes to what does it feel like to move back into a social space. And so I do think we need to give people grace. I think we have a lot of expectations based on pre-COVID, and COVID plus other life stuff happening has shifted how people hang out and how people spend time. People have had whole lifetimes since COVID. People have gotten married and divorced and babies and, degrees and houses and lost houses, and people have had whole lifetimes since COVID. And I think we kind of have this idea of like, why can't it just be how it was before COVID? And it's like, well, people aren't the same as it was before COVID. And so it's taken a lot of time for people to still adjust back to adjust to what the new norm is, right? As opposed to being so caught up in like, well, it used to be this, why can't it be that anymore? And so I really do think we need to give people some grace and to truly understand that shit ain't back to normal. Like, we are not back to normal. And while, yes, we, everything is back open. And even like, we've had so many restaurants in Houston that are very clearly struggling. Either they've honestly said it, or I could tell by the type of promo they're doing that they're struggling. Because people just aren't going out like they used to. People aren't going out and spending money the way they used to. And so we have to kind of learn how to get used to this new world that we're in. And we have to give people grace with that as well. Another thing that just a random thought that, and I keep having these conversations with people, it's always interesting because like I said, I feel like my life is like in themes, or maybe I get stuck on something, and so every conversation I pull it back to that. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe I'm self-centered. I don't know. People are scared to set boundaries because it will hurt that much more if someone crosses them, right? When we talk about boundaries, a big part of it is like you have to let people know what you want, what you desire, what's important to you, what's not okay with you, that you have to tell them the lines. You have to tell them what lines and limits are there in the relationship. I keep having these conversations where it's very clear. It's the expectation that people should respect your boundaries without you having to, one, say them, and two, reinforce them. When it comes to boundaries, we have to learn what it means to set them and to enforce them. And enforcing them doesn't mean block. Enforcing them doesn't mean cutting people off. Now, if it's a true boundary, you have to be willing to walk away if somebody continues to disrespect them, or if they're basically saying, I'm not going to change anything. Then yeah, for it to be a true boundary, you do have to be okay with walking away. But that's not how you enforce a boundary, right? That's not the first step, let me say that, to enforcing a boundary. I should be able to say, this is my boundary. And the belief is, if I say that, then immediately you should be respecting it, right? You should remember it. You should never cross that line. And while that is, again, an ideal situation, in reality, people don't remember because it's not their boundary. So if my boundary is I go to bed at 9:00, it is what it is. That's the time I go to bed. Please do not call me after 9. I will not answer the phone after 9 because I go to bed at 9:00. And you continue to call me after 9. Okay, well, my phone will now be on Do Not Disturb after 9. So you can call all you want, but I'm not going to answer the phone and my phone will be off. If you then cause a whole uproar about why I need to answer the phone and it was an emergency and you should have, whatever the case may be, or if every day you're mad at me because I didn't answer the phone after 9, okay, at this point, now you're actively trying to push my boundaries. At this point, now you're going to start a fight because of my boundaries? Yes, you tell them you hope they respect it, and they should, right? You should tell somebody, hey, I'm not a fan of that. That bothers me. And either they should be able to respect it, or they should say, okay, that doesn't work for me. I'm not going to be able to meet that. And then we have to decide how we're going to move forward with this relationship. And that's the part that people don't want to give others the autonomy to do. We don't want to give them the option to say, that doesn't work for me, so I can't be in a relationship with you in that way. You also have to recognize that there are going to be people that have boundaries that you disagree with as well. And you can say, oh, no, that's not okay. But we often are very protective of our own boundaries, but we're not necessarily as respectful of other people's boundaries. Discernment does not come with age. Discernment comes with learning from experiences and healing. It does not come with age. There is this belief that the older you get, the more you know. The older you get, the more experiences you've had. But that does not mean that you are a better judge of character than someone who's younger, who has healed, who has learned from their experiences, who has grown, all of that. Just because you've went through a lot in life does not mean you are any better than you were 20 years ago if you haven't done your work. I think it's important to recognize that, because it really does feel like sometimes when people are talking about, oh, you'll learn when you grow up. Like, yeah, some stuff, yes, age, experience, that helps. But I don't think discernment is one of those. If you was choosing the wrong people to be in your life when you was in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, you still might choose the wrong people to be in your life in your 50s and 60s. So until you've done the work to actually heal why you are choosing these people, to actually heal why you're even judging these people, right? Because it may be that you are too much on the other side where nobody is good and everybody's bad and da-da-da. Until you understand and heal what's behind that, your discernment is still off. So let's not believe that just because you're older that you know better. I see a lot of judgment when it comes to like conversations around the younger generations and things like that, and the belief that like because we're older we know more. Are there things that we definitely know more about? 100%. I am 40 years old, soon to be 40 years old. I definitely know a lot more than a 20-year-old. And I can watch a 20-year-old and see them make decisions and say, that's not going to work out in your favor. But also, it ain't my job to stop you from learning that lesson, right? I can give you feedback. I can let you know what I think. It ain't my job to stop you and make sure you don't learn that lesson, because maybe you need to learn that lesson so you don't find yourself in that situation again. Age is a lot that comes with age, definitely. And our experiences definitely teach us some things. But our experiences also make us jaded sometimes. We go into situations without an open mind because we've already decided anybody that if somebody tells me this story about their life, they must be lying. I know they're lying. That ain't true for nobody. Oh, okay. So, because they said they don't get along with their mom, and so they don't talk to their mom, and the last person you talked to or somebody years ago said that they get along with their mom, and it was really because they was crazy and did it, all this other stuff. That's what we're gonna take to this. We're not gonna, you can't just get to know this person and learn what their story is. It just automatically has to be the same as the last story. Okay, I mean, you know, live your life, but that ain't true. If you stuck with this chaos, thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, all the things. Let me know what topics you would want to hear from me, serial entrepreneur, relationship therapist. What are you interested in? And I'll talk to you later.